Omega Weapon is one of Final Fantasy VIII's toughest challenges. Luckily though, it can be nerfed quite easily. It has a fixed counter, and when you engage it, the battle itself, his moveset is kind of fixed as well. He does throw in random punches every now and then, but for the most part, it's the same. So he opens up with L5 Def, and right here, if you defend with Selphie before you use the limit break, she won't take any damage if she's attacked. But I already used a hero, so that defend kind of neglected itself. And then Selphie is also the easiest, and we're going through this list from easiest members to kill Omega with, and how I actually did it. So here I got lucky, I got the end. That was all that it took. Selphie goes in for the kill. Omega Weapon's like, I think you're worthy enough to defeat the final boss. I'm just gonna call it quits now. So, most people struggle with 3 party members, and I'm doing this with 1 party member and some stone members sometimes. But it's because I'm just, tactical, and I like to do it in a way that's more challenging. And in case you're looking for strategies on who to use, I can list my findings. So you can have all 3 characters live right now. Selphie can pretty much one-shot Omega Weapon, which makes her the easiest to destroy him with. Once you're done, you can just get through the item screen. You will get 3-star. And most of the stats, they do have 255 strength stuff. I maxed up the stats as much as I could without trying to go completely overboard. But that's what Selphie was using, and it's the same setup for most of the battles. Next on, we're going to move into Squall, and his difficult setting, well, it's kind of RNG. See, I solo Omega Weapon using the same strategy I did with Selphie, but I had to spend a little bit more time doing it. And Squall pretty much has the same kind of attacks that, or stats that Selphie had, to 255 strength, vitality, magic, and spirit. No, probably a good 100 on speed. But Meltdown was needed for the first time here. You'll be seeing it a lot. It's my opening move on Omega for the most part. But once I popped the hero, I was just invincible. Nothing can hit me. So I was confident that I'd be able to do this with multiple party members. So here we go in. I might mess this up, I forget. This is a collaboration of all the times that I've did it. Luckily I do get Lionheart right at the moment. So this is what you're aiming for, and that's why I said it was kind of RNG based. It's because you're not going to get Lionheart every time. Sometimes you'll fight Omega and never use it and kill him with other attacks that you could use. But if you're looking for strategies to defeat Omega, you can fight it with any 3 party members. You can fight it without Squall, which is unique, so you don't even have to bring him. Even though I would say Squall is the 2nd best damage dealer for Omega, just if you get lucky on Lionheart. Now you can have lower HP, and that increases Squall's crisis level, which will eventually deal more damage. And then you can also, while he's in crisis level of like 1 HP, have the aura effect on, which will increase it even more. Here I know that Omega is going to try and attack me when my my invincibility is going away, and I can't survive like anything besides Meteor and Ultima. So here's another one of his moves. You're just going to see a cycle because some of the fight is kind of repetitive. Even though Omega poses a threat with the items that I have right now and the strategy that I'm using, you could use the same strategy too with, I'm sure, like any 3 characters. So we didn't get lucky again, which was a pretty big downer, and that's just Ultima. I actually thought that I was KO'd right there, but I can survive Ultima and Meteor. I can't survive several of his other attacks. And my evade status is usually high enough to where I can just miss the physical attacks. I evade his physical attack. So then now that was done, I think I get a faded circle, yeah, and then I think I actually get another Lionheart. So we're gonna see. We're gonna wait and see. But keep in mind, while Squall is doing his limit break, you most likely won't be able to use Selphie slot command because it's special right here. It takes up the screen time. But I also noticed something during this fight is that Omega Weapon is targeting solely Squall, which is a bad thing because Squall's the only character that I need. So I'm going to bring in stoned party members later on and kind of take away from single target party members. They'll still be like petrified and stoned, but they'll help a little bit with my odds. Luckily, though, the only thing that they would actually help with is an RNG miss of like Light Pillar, RNG miss of Tetra Break, and then physical attacks. Ultima and Meteor, they'll still probably damage me, but not for long. So I get a blasting zone. I've seen quite a bit of his limit breaks this time. And my fingers are crossed the whole time I'm doing this that I get Lionheart. I mean, if I had it my way, I would have recorded a video with me getting 3 Lionhearts in a row. And I have a good idea that it might actually be accessible. See here, I'm like, if I'm not invincible, then I'm not gonna make it. And if I'm not gonna make it, so I wasted. If I'm not gonna make it, I'm gonna die KO'd. So I was concerned right here that I was invincible and this hero was gonna miss, and it does. So I go up here. I'm waiting now for my hero to go away. That was Ultima. I know that my invincibility will run out and I will not be able to survive much of his attacks. So I wait for that moment. Omega Weapon has no choice but to target solely Squall in this fight. But luckily I was able to get the hero off and include invincibility to Squall. So here we go with more limit breaks. I did not get the Lionheart again, so this is about the 3rd or 4th cycle of Omega's attacks, just to show you exactly how long it takes for him to vanquish. There are other methods, so if you wanted the ideal setup, if you wanted to go damage, it'd be like Squall, Rinoa, Irvine. Or if you wanted to take him out in one shot, it would be like Selphie, Zell, and maybe Irvine as well. Because Squall, Rinoa, and Quistis are actually quite difficult to kill Omega, especially Quistis. So here we're attacking, we're fingers crossed that was Lionheart. Again, I get a blasting zone, which is not a bad animation. It's just not the one that I'm going for at the moment. And at this point, I've caused enough damage to Omega that I know that he's about done. And my heroes are almost gone too, so I gotta rethink that. There would be no way. Most of his attacks can do almost like 9,998 damage. Tetra Break being able to hit me for like 4,000 or 5,000 damage about 12 times. So yeah, I don't have the HP to survive. So hero is a needed ingredient in soloing Omega. I could use GFs, but the PlayStation has this thing on my PS4. The longest video I can upload is an hour long. So Quistis was out of the hands when it came to doing these because I just can't use one limit break that she has over and over. It's the only way she can deal massive damage real fast. But ooh, here it is. Squall got Lionheart, which is probably a very, is a very good way of defeating Omega Weapon. It really is. And people get Lionheart on disc 1 just so that they can get it early. However, even with 2 Lionhearts into the mix of all the other limit breaks that I've done, Omega's still ticking. So we all know Squall's the strongest of all the party members, right? I mean, sort of he is. The other members are very useful. But there's my third Lionheart. I think you could take 4 or 5 if you got them straight off the bat every time. And with this, I'm like, yeah, he is gone. I hope he's gone. I'm still in this recap of it all. I'm hoping that this was Omega's last straw. So, what's he look like when he's gonna fall? That. Alright, interesting note. 2 characters down. And the third is Rinoa. Because I have a special mix for her. And it is not my build. It's what they call Meteor Ring. Meteor Wings. She has a limit break called Angel Wing, and yeah, we're going to be using that. So those are the stats of Squall. The abilities, again, I'm using the same ones pretty much all the time. And next we do go straight towards fighting Omega Weapon solo with Rinoa, and this was one of my most lucky endeavors because all I did was go into Angel Wing. I didn't go into anything else. I'm just like, I've maxed her stats the most because I can't have any offensive spells other than Meteor and Meltdown in my inventory, so I had to max her stats in a different way. So I used the limit break, and then she goes into Berserk mode, and Omega Weapon immediately gets hit by Meltdown, and then Rinoa comes in and casts Meteor. Well, that was just another chain event where Now she's going to deal a massive amount of damage to Omega. So it's not equivalent to Lionheart, and it's going to take more hits. The funny thing is most of the time she will cast Meteor. Excuse me real quick. That's my microphone, it's not my buttocks. But yeah. Again, with the Meteor spam, I didn't need a hero this time to save Rinoa. She was pretty good. Just if I used a hero, I might not be able to do her Angel Wing limit break, and then cannot do Meteor Wing, which when she has Angel Wing established, I think her spells do 5 times the damage. Is what the math is. So that's why this was important, was just to get as much damage to Omega as possible, and before he even gets like hardly a turn. So in a way, Rinoa, if built right, if molded correctly, she could probably be second fastest to kill Omega solo, because we know that Selphie was the fastest, Squall was kind of the second fastest. Rinoa, the only reason it takes longer and I put her in 3rd place from easy is she's the 3rd easiest, but it builds time to get the build. So it takes time to extra stat her, because you can't use stats that are offensive. Therefore, when you're junctioning stuff to strength, magic, vitality, and all that stuff, you don't have the full arsenal that all the other characters have. So you have to use weaker spells, and then they don't raise her stats up enough, so you got to use stat up, like strength up, vitality up items, just to even her out. So if I was to treat her like everybody else and gave her Ultima and all that stuff to kind of work with, she would use it during her limit break, but she'd definitely have max stats at this point. She has pretty much max stats besides speed and luck already, and she doesn't have any offensive spells besides Meltdown and Meteor. So here we go again. Omega Weapon don't stand a chance, does he? Could you imagine all 3 of my characters attacking at once? So Squall, Rinoa this way can work. If not, Rinoa's not that great. Selphie is like a one-hit KO. Squall is more of a damage dealer. All the other characters are damage dealers. So I was kind of mad that my Meltdown was coming. And there is a trick to it, is that you just carry 1 Meltdown in your inventory slot, and that will like make her cast it less. But I wanted it done ASAP, and like you can see on the screen, I'm not using any boosters for anything mainly. I'm just letting the battle play out. Which Omega Weapon is just standing there for some reason. I don't know what happened, but you know. It's crazy damage. Up to 7,500. Ooh. Another Meltdown coming up. Don't expect to get this lucky with Omega unless she does have the speed advantage in her limit form. I wouldn't say that she's fast. I'm looking at this back now, and I've done all my characters, and I know how Omega works. He would have hit me with Meteor, and then he would go further into the fight and hit me with something harder. Trust me, Omega's not using any actions at all right now, and That is the best RNG. And on my channel, I have excellent RNG luck. It might not always seem like it, but I do. It'd be funny if Omega dies by a meltdown instead of a meteor, which could be quite possible. Yep, could be possible indeed. Also, Rinoa has full HP, and that's different because with her, I was expecting to get hit. With all the other attacks, I knew that I wasn't going to get hurt. With her, though, yeah, I knew the pain was going to come eventually, but luckily, I think I get away from it. I get cleared from all attacks. Because she has auto haste plus nearly like 100 something speed. With Rinoa though, you can still use Reflect. You do have Meteor because for strength. Reflect is for magic or spirit. You still have full life, shell, protect, all that stuff that can help. It's just you can't have fire or bio or blind or any of that. You can just have offensive spells. Now, unfortunately, you do have to have offensive spells in Rinoa's stack to make Angelo Wing even worth it, or Angel Wing, that's what it is, Angel Wing and Meteor Wing is what is being forecast right now. Meteor showers all day. Sever off, look what I can do. Okay, I think Omega's done now. Yeah, he didn't even get a chance. Rinoa is OP. So I don't think Rinoa took much time to master Omega. Selphie, I didn't think Omega got any turns in that much either. So far, Squall took the longest. But Rinoa had more of a build up than any of the other characters. See, this is my build for her. I had on Ribbon, but if you don't have Ribbon, put on Def for status defense because he does cast L5 Def. Alright, here we are fighting with, I think it's Zell. And 2 stone bros with him. Or no, Selphie's with him. But that was Irvine. Yeah, here I knew what I was getting into and that this was going to be a quick fight, actually. But it's not necessarily a quick fight. The thing that makes this longer is that Zell freezes the battle to do several commands. So here we go. His crisis at this limit break was not maxed. Usually you can get like 8 to 12 seconds. And I'm not the best at the command input, I'll admit. With him having lower HP and aura status on, he will be able to deal more damage. And that's actually where I'm getting at, is I actually want him to cast Meteor on me. There's Meteor, but I wanted him to cast it on me, so now I'm going to show you why Stone party members help. It's because of that. they take a lot of damage that could be directed on my solo fight. And trust me, it's not gonna be a full cheat. It's because Omega Weapon is a fearsome opponent, and my solo battles are one-on-one, and I'm running out of party members, and it just keeps on getting tougher. So I had to play by my rules instead of Omega's. Omega does have a good set of moves. It's just he has so many moves that can one-hit KO you, like Tetra Break or Magello. I forget what the other one is, but there's one that does like 9,998. 9,998, yeah. And then there's one that does like 4,000, 5,000, maybe 6,000 damage a hit 12 times. And then he has Pillar Light, which, if I'm not mistaken, does 9,999 damage to a single target. So having stone party members help me take a little bit of aggro away from my solo member. I'm able to survive a little bit faster, and I could do this with just Zell, but trust me, this is hard right here, is to do it with a little bit less force coming directly for Zell. So here I got more time on my hands, even though I'm not using it preciously. I know somebody that can take I think it's 0.02, or it might just be 0.2 seconds per time, but I'm not. I'm clocking out at like 0.4, 0.3, somewhere around there. That took me a whole 20 point. Again, not the most damage that we've seen so far in this game. It is the second lowest. Selphie just being no damage to enemies over. And then Squall and Rinoa, they outdamage Zell. So far, I don't have to worry. I just know that Zell is going to take a long time. It's not that Omega Weapon's attacks are too much of a problem. It's all about getting the precious time that I need, because you see, the whole battle's froze, and I'm allowed to attack multiple times, which is good. Again, with all limit breaks in this game, you will deal more damage and you will perform better with lower HP and the aura status on. So keep that in mind if you're doing this, to try and tweak it to where it's better than my video. Yeah, 1 HP and aura status will maximize damage, and also give your characters a critical crisis level to where they're just performing better when their limit breaks. And I guess this is Omega Weapon versus limit breaks. I like to call them aura breaks. I kind of kicked myself in the leg because I missed the chance to use this limit or whatever. See, this one I just kind of messed the whole thing up because I was too busy paying attention to how much damage I was doing. I was like, how am I dealing more damage than usual? And then it gets down to the last couple seconds and I'm like, oh, I guess his RNG kicked in at his crisis level was at max. So this one I think can take a while. And we're not even through his first cycle of moves, I believe. I think we still got. It's either that or we're on our second, going on third. But since Zell can take his sweet time and just freeze the battle, deal damage without any penalty, he's still not dealing as much damage as Rinoa or Squall. But on the list that we've seen so far, he is 4th on the damage dealt. We get a few 9,000 damage hits in, and then some 4,000. But overall, it's actually not that bad of damage. And I'd say Rinoa just outclasses it because she had pure speed on her side, it seems. But there I knew my invincibility was up, and he will attack me or you if you try this at home. And trust me, it's safe to try at home. But yeah, Omega just has so many devastating attacks that if you don't have Hero on, you're not going to really last long. Yeah, the biggest thing you could do is summon a GF during his main 2 attacks. But the trick is to have the GF with like low compatibility, because he'll deal a move that does 9,998 damage to all targets. Then he has a move that can hit you up to 12 times for the 4 or 5 damage. Then he has a move that can hit you with 9,999 damage. And if you have a summon with poor compatibility, the summon will soak up some damage for you. But you'd have to sit through summon animation if it went off. And usually when people are using the strat on summons, they're using it kind of like to take damage for a character. You know a big hit's gonna come in and wipe you out. If you use a summon, it will die instead of you. So there's that tactic of, if your character's low on HP and you got somewhere of curing or surviving, just summon, and the summons can take damage for you. A lot of low-level game players forget this because they don't really use summons that much. Like me, I hardly ever use a summon. And we're almost done with the video. We have one more person that we're gonna have to go through. But now that I'm looking at it, we still have quite a bit of ways to go with Zell, because he still is not done. I would say that the 9,000s are critical, because that's what they seem. And critical doubles the damage, I suppose. That I kind of just messed up. I know after this attack, he goes back to Meteor using, so I think my hero is going to last until Meteor goes off, and if I do get hit by Meteor, my stone party members will take some damage, and I can afford to take some Meteor or even Ultima damage. I could even take Graviga if I wanted to. Just would narrow down a lot of my HP. Again, Zell's not bad to use during Omega. He counteracts with Selphie. He doesn't work well with Quistis without Selphie. Let me think who else. I think everybody else he can work with. because his attack animation stops everything, so Selphie slots are completely out. Squall's limit break stops slots too, so that is also out. So Quistis is one of the hardest people to fight Omega with, and very much indeed. Zell can kind of out damage everybody. I think there is a world record or some kind of record that people can hit, and that's kill Omega weapon in one single limit break. And I think it's possible. If not, you can do it in like 2 or 3. Again, I know there's a lot of people that are just extremely good at it. So hopefully I'm getting y'all motivated to plug in your PlayStations or game consoles, whatever you're using, and try and fight Omega one-on-one, or if you want to use these strats on other ones. I think a good combination to do is like Squall, Irvine, and Zell. Their limit breaks all possess turn rate, so they all 3 of them cancel Selphie. Selphie, Quistis, and Rinoa make a good team because Selphie takes a long time with slots. Quistis, she's got one move that can hurt Omega real good, and that's it. And Rinoa would be on autopilot with Angel Wing. So that's kind of like a good way of demonstrating the characters and how they go is Zell, Irvine, and Squall. They do cancel out your turn for a little bit. All 3 of them do. Here I defended, which is something you can do. You're allowed to do. Now I use the hero. I don't actually know how I absorb damage from that. It didn't look right on my end. I thought that I was invincible, but that could have only been done by defend, and somehow I used a hero right after I got hit, so I don't know, I'm lost. I'll check it back later. And the funny thing is I haven't even fought Ultimate Weapon yet, which might be this. No, it's a necessity in Final Fantasy X. Sometimes I play all the Final Fantasies and I get them confused a little bit. This is not the last time we'll see this version of Omega, but Omega hasn't appeared in a Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy V. And the funny thing about that is I think that Final Fantasy V was the first time we've seen Omega, and hence this might be the second Omega that the Final Fantasy series ever had. In Final Fantasy VI, we got Death Gaze, we got Crusader, stuff like that, but I don't think we got Omega. And then 7, if you count Dirge of Cerberus, we have Omega, but other than that, I just don't think so. 9, we don't have one. However, in 10 we do, and it's got the same kind of character designs in this game. But then in 12, we're giving back the Final Fantasy V Omega, and it's mechanical, and a lot of people just use reverse because Omega can deal so much damage that if you reverse damage output on your characters, you'll be getting healed by Omega more than he's damaging you. 13, is there an Omega weapon in 13? In all 3 of them, I would say no. Oh, yes, there is. There's an Omega weapon in 13 too, but that's it. Doesn't appear in Lightning Returns or the original. I absolutely don't think so, but there is a good possibility I'm wrong. 15, there is an Omega in the final product, the Royal Edition. Then 16, Echoes of the Fallen, DLC. So far I've seen Omega take this kind of a form where, I mean, he's part beast, kind of like a Minotaur, except he's a manhemoth, or I don't know what you say, he's just a collection of monsters it looks like. But then you got Omega, which is a machine. Really interesting subjects though. A little bit of information. So now we're on to Irvine. And this is the one that broke me. This is the one that made me say I cannot do this with Quistis because it would just take so darn long. Again, I go over most of their stats, but it's usually the same. You can see his speed helped a lot. I had to sacrifice Ribbon for it and just put Def on status defense. So here it is, the final Irvine showdown. Can he aim after embarrassing himself in front of all his friends with Idia? We will see. So straight up, I'm not afraid of Meteor or L5 Def. So I just want to get Meltdown on as soon as possible. And I know that this is going to take the longest. Again, after I found this video, I figured out more research on Omega, because a lot of this I knew most of the strategies that I was going to use. But for Irvine, I mean, I've been on YouTube. I've seen people do most of these strategies. I think most of them, except they do actually slightly better, in my opinion. So when I went to look at this video, before making this video, I realized that they're doing a lot more damage in other people's videos to me, and that's because they have on aura status and they have 1 HP in most cases. So the lower I can get my HP and the more aura I have on, the more damage I would do. But that's not going to affect damage that much in Irvine's case. What's really going to help Irvine is the fact that his crisis level gives him extra time per bullet. So with more crisis level, lower HP, and aura status equipped on your, or active on your character, not equipped but active on your character, you'll get more time, and time was essential when it's doing these fast ammos. Now, out of the 10 plus attempts that this probably took to make, I sat here and got arthritis about 4 or 5 times with my right hand pressing R1. So if you can switch them, I would switch them. Okay, there's my defend. And right in time too, wouldn't you know? So I kind of knew that was coming for me. You can summon a GF there, like I said, just summon a GF, it will take the hit for you. I decided to go fast ammo. I'm not going to get another shot at unloading 20 rounds, but I'll get it down to as low as possible, we'll say. So we got down that far to 9 more shots. We don't need it no more. We're gonna go with the rarest and hardest ammo to make, pulse ammo. And this will do max damage. Meltdown does help, so as you see I had a lot of time there. That was a bonus. Sometimes I don't have that much time. But with this pulse ammo, Irvine is probably able to stay on par with Squall and Zell, while Rinoa and Selphie can straight out work Omega in a matter of like moments where Omega just don't get a chance. So far the easiest two is Rinoa and Selphie. But if you're gonna go Selphie's route, then you don't need anybody else, you just need her to cast the end. That's it. Here I messed up, because next move, and I've done lost track of which move he's gonna do, but it could actually end my game. So it was a meteor. Luckily, I have enough time now to get hit by it and also reapply the invincibility status with a hero. And I'm not even mad that I get damaged a little bit, because that's just getting my crisis level up higher. And I don't know how some people can apply aura and invincibility, because like I have a hard time just keeping up with invincibility, and once you're invincible you can't apply aura to yourself, so you have to do that before you're invincible, and you can't do it while you are invincible. But that's how you can quadruple your damage almost on some cases. Most of the time it's double or triple your damage of having a low crisis level, compared to like just having aura and high HP. Cypher is unique because he doesn't need to be at low HP to use his limit break. Cypher can use his limit break sort of easy with full HP, as a matter of fact. So here's another moment where I actually know that Omega Weapon is going to try and catch me off guard. Actually, we get just call Omega Weapon Square Enix from now on. They're gonna catch me off guard, and I'm not gonna have hero, and Irvine would bite the dust. But Square Enix, you gave me a lot of power in your games, so I used my hero. I'm still using pulse ammo, ready for the long duration. Alright, does Omega Weapon spawn in Final Fantasy more than Ultima? I would say yes. No, almost the same actually. A lot of the time if Ultima's involved, Omega Weapon, as an intent's sake, is his older brother or deadlier being. In this game, I think Omega Weapon is really straight up the King of Fiend. No, I'm not sure what he is. In my mythology, Omega Weapon is there to actually kill the final boss in case you can't. So the test is like why the RNG gods would put an Omega being during the end of the times for the parties to optionally fight, is because they say if you can defeat Omega Weapon, you can defeat the final boss. That's my take on it. Omega Weapon is there, in my eyes, if you can't defeat the final boss. The universe needs Omega to step in and take out the fight. Now this is not true to Final Fantasy lore. It just makes sense to me that since Omega Weapon is generally tougher than the other enemies, then it only makes sense that I think Omega Weapon is always stronger than the final boss in the video games. Just in honesty, I think that's what the case is. So I'm waiting for Hero to run out because I knew it was going to, and I wouldn't want to get stuck in the middle of a chain of attacks without applying the invincibility status. I could have got hit by that gravity. I really could have. And it would just have taken my HP down quite a bit. But here we are. We're getting close to the end of the Omega fight now. And the video. So Irvine, he's good. But if he's only getting 4 or 5 shots of quad 9, then he's actually been the lowest damage dealer that I've had so far. I mean, yes, he can sometimes get, 7 or 8 in, but for the most part, no, I'm not getting that much in. So here I'm just worried that my invincibility is going to go out and all this pre-planning is going to go, and I'm going to get arthritis for 7 or 8 more times in my hands, which if you have arthritis, your bones, they get weak, they get stiff, they get hurt, and it's just painful. Oh, there went a false hero. Okay, so I measured that a little bit wrong, but I've always been telling y'all I can survive I can survive Meteor and Ultima and Gravitica. Those 3 moves, and possibly his physical attacks. Doesn't mean I aim to, it's just I could survive them during the duration of this fight. So this would cancel out slots and other stuff too. It just cancels out the command usage during the shooting. But here we are with almost I forgot, I didn't look at it. Oh, about 64 shells of just quad 9s, and he's still not dead, which is making me worry. So right now I have a plan, and that's to have my hero run out. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna use a Holy War or something that I can use. Oh, there's no wrong usage, but I'm desperate at this point. I know that my invincibility is gonna go off, and I can survive these attacks, but I don't want to. And actually, Ultima might be able to defeat Irvine. It can do about 200 something damage, so I would say it's not out of reach to kill me. Holy War is just like Hero, except for it attacks, or it affects all party members. But you can get 100 heroes by modding a card. It's a, I think, GF card, but it's an important card. You can just get 100 heroes and be invincible 100 times in a battle. But I'm resetting in between each fight. I'm like, I defeated them, and if I saved, I wouldn't be able to fight them again until I start a new game. Once I've done this much stat maxing, there's no way I'm starting a new game. I'm just going to continue on my own save file, and there's still stuff I could do, because I find Final Fantasy relaxing, stress relieving, and a hobby that is better than alcohol or other things that would put me in jail. So this is the way I kill time. People read books and people don't really make fun of books, so I can make fun of myself though. It's just I stay safe and reliable. So Irvine took so long. For example, he took more whole heroes. I always call them holy wars, but he took more invincibility moments than all the other characters because his damage output's not as high. It's good, it's just not as much as we've seen from the other characters. Yep, with that being said, I'm sorry about my mic again, but it's been nearly an hour and I had to take a drink every once in a while. See, with that one it was 0 damage. It's because he's gone. Alright, that was the tough one, and now that I look back on it, Irvine might actually be the hardest one of the bunch that I was able to do. And now you've seen most of the characters and how they handle Omega Weapon and what you can expect if you're fighting them, what strategies you could use versus what strategies you use. Like, I mean, it's a video game. You can't say you can't do it. You can do anything you want. It's a game though, don't stress out about it. But last but not least, we have the Quistis run. Which with Quistis, I didn't think I was gonna do it. Again, I'm using 2 stoned party members, and I'm not afraid of Meteor when I first cast this. So I cast Meltdown, get that straight Vitality Spirit 0 effect, and I realized that he cast Meteor. And as you know, I've learned from Irvine, and now I have not 10 but 100 heroes. And I've also learned that Shell is going to be my friend in this fight as well. Instead of, I think I don't even use auto haste, yeah, so I try and go through all the scenes here to demonstrate his moves and stuff, but truth be told, I'm going to be using this shockwave pulsar so much that after now, I think it's safe that I can use ×3, which is a game legit kind of cheat to speed time up. It's not gonna forever work in my favor, but it's gonna be really close to it. What this is gonna do is just allow me to get rid of the long animations, and I have to manage the time I spend fighting Omega. So usually when he does an attack for the first time, where it's a, you know, an exclusive attack to him, I show it and then I go into Shockwave Pulsar and I turn on ×3, and all that does is speed up the game. It doesn't give me extra stats or anything like that. I can hit from like 15k to 30k with this attack, and yeah, I wasn't even gonna do this fight actually. I really wasn't, until I was watching my friend's stream and I was like, well, while they're doing their own Final Fantasy journey, I'm gonna see if I can actually crack this Omega with Irvine. I mean, with Quistis, because I did the other 5 really easily, and I didn't really want to go into Quistis because I thought I was going to do like 15,000 damage only, and that was like the maximum I'd be able to get. But I did find out that I was able to push her limit further than I'd hope. I think I just got luckier with the RNG, and like I say, I get really lucky with RNG. I'm really lucky with it. So you're going to see it in quite a bit during this fight, that it takes a while. For one, it does take a while. And then two, there's certain times when Omega just goes for physical attacks, and it allows me to sneak in invincibility, because if I was to retry this and stuff, I would most likely fail. So I calculated that if I was doing 15,000 damage, I'd need to do it around 75 times to kill Omega. That's what deterred me from doing Quistis so much. Another thing that is important to note is that I am able now to see the crisis level, because before Irvine, I didn't look at anybody else's videos, and even after I got done with this, I looked up Quistis one, and there's a YouTube video, I don't know who it was from, I forget, but they had 1 HP. That means they were relying on the extra damage, and plus they were doing like 35,000 each hit, which I can go as low as like 14,000. And it would be so hard to manage with 1 HP, because every attack can hit you with a KO. So I admire that person for doing it. I don't have the time to do it myself. So here we're going with some good damage, and I know that my invincibility is going to run out around the time when Meteor is going to be casted. So I know right now that Omega Weapon is not going to hurt me unless Meteor is cast. Luckily he casts it. I do get the hero in, so for a second here I just let it play, and then I'm going back in for some more revenge, because now that I'm doing like 20,000 to 30,000, it's taking those shockwave pulsers down from like having to cast it 70 times to more like 30 or something. Still takes a while, mind you. Quistis is not ideal. As a matter of fact, she's the lowest damage dealer there is. Well, no, she's the hardest to kill Omega Weapon with. She doesn't multi-hit, and when she does, it's only for up to 35,000. Irvine can do that with a pulse ammo and 4 shots. So Quistis comes the hardest on the list just because her attack here is like the only way to significantly ensure that you get immediate turns. So if I was to basic attack it, she could do 9,999 damage. Don't get me wrong, she probably could. But limit or aura break, whatever you call it, it cuts in and interrupts enemy action. Meaning, if they have a turn ready and you have an aura break, then if you use it, your aura break's just going to go off right away usually. Same with in 7, the limit breaks, they go off right away. I don't know why 9 gets so much criticism when they actually let you use multiple limit break actions. You know, with 7 and 8, well, 6, 7, and 8 having limit breaks, that were kind of same in nature. You used it once in a while, but with 9, every time you got a limit break, you got like a whole 4 or 5 turns where you could do whatever you want with it. Alright, here I was like, do I use a summon to take this damage? Because Quistis, I actually was very nervous about. I told a lot of my friends online, I was like, I'm not even going to try Quistis. But a person was playing Final Fantasy online, and I was like, well, they're doing that, I'll do this. It ended up better than I thought. So yeah. It took me about 5 attempts with Quistis, but it did take me like a while with Irvine. Again though, it's probably just me because Irvine can outdamage Quistis. I think truthfully the one that's done the most damage per second is Rinoa. All the other characters didn't do as much damage. I mean, Squall could on Lionheart, but all his other failed attempts, not so much damage at all. And with more anticipation, it just leads to seeing how much damage I do each turn. It's not bad. Quistis, I don't show the stats, so once she's done with the fight, I'm just gonna end the stream. It'll be nice that way. But yeah, so my honest opinion, if you're going for an easy win, use Selphie. If you're using for a damage win, use Irvine, Squall, and Zell. And Quistis and Rinoa, I don't know. It's just hard for us to set them up right and for them to play out right. Because I guess it just takes more in depth. I mean, Selphie's a little bit self-explanatory. You just wait until you get the end. Sad thing is Omega can kill you so fast that you probably won't see the end in Selphie slots that often. You'll probably die before you can find it, or you find it and you actually just slot again and you lose it and you gotta re-find it. You know, that happens sometimes. You hit do-over on the slots when you see the end or something come up. Again, 32,000 is not that bad. It's good that Quistis can hit that high, and with enough luck and crisis level and stuff, she could probably hit that high for a while. But yeah, it's not likely. A lot of misses. I think I covered a good Omega video. I talked about Omega in other entries. When he's mechanical, he is kind of resilient to damage because he's machine. When he's organic, the only thing I can say about organics is usually that we got Omega from 8 that's organic. Sort of in 9, no, sort of in Dirge of Cerberus too, mechanical, or organic. Dirge of Cerberus is an interesting game to talk about because they mention several powerhouses in that game that hardly anybody knows about. But we need in Final Fantasy VIII too, right? Or do we? Is Squall really in a time loop? Finish the game, then watch the beginning of the game like it's like a continuation. And Alone is the first character that mentions you, which is also Sis, which is a sorcerer known for bringing people from the future to the past. It explains why Squall talks to himself in his head so much. I mean, if you just beat the game and you go in it with an open mind, you'll see traces that Squall did go back into the past and he's in an endless loop. which I think was cool. Because even they start talking about the promise, which they don't make until like this 3 pretty much. So everything comes into play. At the last of the game, Ultimecia gives Edea her powers, and Edea is the sorceress in part 1 of 8, so part 1 of Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, it just makes a lot more sense. You'll just understand it the more you go through it. Explains that Rinoa actually liked Cypher more than Squall in the beginning as well. She went to Seed in order to get his help, but yeah, she got Squall's instead. Alright. Omega, you are one tough cracker. One tough cookie, that's what the saying is. Or one tough biscuit, something that crumbles apart really, usually. Okay. Come on, Omega. I know my hero is about to run out and now get hit, but I'm able to hold the invincibility status for a little bit longer. Until now, I just say the video is over. That was all 6 character members that you get in Final Fantasy VIII. And yes, there are 8 members. Cypher and Edea are 2 members. So I would like a DLC where you can get Laguna, Ward, and Kairos back. I think those would be good additions to the game. Maybe some new GFs as well. Not even necessarily powerful ones, just ones that can help with the junctions. And yeah, make other items that are hard to get now, easy to get later. I'd buy a new, you know, advanced version of Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, it had a lot of different functions to it. Maybe an optional dungeon with tough enemies. Like pretty much Bite Bug. Always got in my head because it's so weak. But what if Square Enix gave Bite Bug like the best stats, the best attacks and all that? It could be a Mega Bite Bug. Anyways, that's it. I'll see y'all next time. I hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.